So a while back, I showed you in a Snare Saturday video the Ludwig Rocker Bronze 5x14 Snare Drum. And then I started to realize why so many people wanted to get one, and they're looking for one now, because the thing sounds fantastic. And then that got me thinking a little bit. Was it just that specific drum? Or is it bronze in general? So in this Snare Saturday video, I'm gonna show you a modern day bronze snare drum to see if it sounds just as good as the one from back then. Yo, what's going on everybody? Nick Costa here, and in this video, you're gonna get the chance to hear a Ludwig 5x14 Bronzephonic snare drum. This is a modern day Ludwig Bronzephonic snare, although to make it a little bit different, I have it outfitted with tube lugs rather than imperial lugs. Now this is a modern day Bronzephonic from Ludwig, which gives you the opportunity to hear what it sounds like to see if it fits your needs. Now before we dive into this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button as well as the bell notification. That way you're notified of any additional content that I upload to the channel. So like I've mentioned numerous times in the Snare Saturday series, when it comes to metal drums, you have different sound characteristics depending on the alloys. You have steel and aluminum, which is more brighter, brass, which is somewhat in the middle. Then if you wanted something a little bit darker than brass but having a similar characteristic, you can go with bronze. Then finally, the darkest and more direct tone, you have copper. So let's talk about the specs of this particular drum. Like I mentioned, it is a modern day Ludwig Bronzephonic. It is a 5x14 shell, which is depth by diameter, and it is a 1.2 millimeter seamless bronze shell. This drum is outfitted with 10 double-sided tube lugs, 2.3 millimeter triple flange hoops on the top and the bottom, Ludwig's P88 AC throw-off and butt plate, and stock heads from Ludwig, and to my knowledge, it's a coated ambassador on the top and an ambassador snare side on the bottom. However, some of you in earlier Snare Saturday videos have identified that although Remo is making the heads and they are branded Ludwig, they are to the Weathermaster specs. So there is a possibility that these heads are a coated Weathermaster on the top and a Weathermaster snare side on the bottom. If you know for sure, please leave it in the comment section below, because the last thing I'd want to do is misinform anybody. Finally, this drum is outfitted with a set of generic Ludwig snare wires. So just like every other Snare Saturday video, I'm going to play this drum through a few different tunings. I'm going to start out in a low tuning and work my way up to a higher tuning. So enough of me talking, let's dive in. Now the first thing right out the gate, I was shocked with how low this drum can actually get. And some of you might be saying, well, wait a minute, brass you can get pretty low and bronze is supposed to be slightly lower than that in pitch. But the lowest tuning I could get on this drum, I can't get with other drums, including some of the brass ones in my collection. Now to me, I think this drum really has a unique sound when you start to get into the higher tunings, specifically the high or even the cranked tuning of this drum. It still has a lot of body to it, it doesn't sound choked out whatsoever, and has a truly unique sound. But either way, I would love to get your feedback and what you thought of this drum, so make sure that you leave it in the comment section below. Now to talk about how I tuned this drum, I did what I always do with every snare drum. I made sure that the bottom was tabletop tight, and then once I got that very low tuning, going from one tuning to the next, I only did a quarter turn on each tension rod. Once I did that, I used one tension rod as a reference point and made sure that the rest of them were the same pitch. Now, another thing to point out, although this particular Bronzephonic has tube lugs, it is also offered with imperial lugs by Ludwig. So you do have that option to get either tube lugs like I have here, or the imperial lugs with the rubber gasket behind it. Now, some folks do say that the imperial lug with the rubber gaskets tends to dampen the shell a little bit. So if you want it to have a similar sound to this and be a little more resonant and open sounding, you might want to consider tube lugs. Now, if you had any other additional questions on the drum, maybe even the gear that I'm playing, or anything else, feel free to leave it in the comment section as well, and I will try my best to answer it. Now, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see some earlier videos from the Snare Saturday series, I've put a link to the playlist in the description below, and I'll also have it come up right here to make it a bit easier for you. Finally, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure that you give it a thumbs up. That way it makes it a little bit easier for others to find it. And that is it. Thank you so much for checking out this video on the Ludwig Bronzephonic 5x14 snare drum. And until next time, see you later.